Hi, hello, and welcome to another episode of the Tampa Bay Arts Passport podcast. If you are new here, we are your insider guide, behind the scenes curator, local artsy best friend, telling you all the cool things going on around town and really giving artists an opportunity to dive deep into their conversations. Today's session is with Roxanne Fay. She is a dramaturg, actress, all around amazing theatrical artist based here in Tampa. She has done lots of work with places like Job Site Theater Company, and now the studio at 620, working on their adaptation of Julius Caesar. I want to be so clear, this is not like your high school English lesson. We're going to talk about how this is an action-packed show. We're going to talk about, we will get into some of the nitty-gritty of how she is adapting this, but please, if you were afraid of Shakespeare in high school, this is probably the conversation for you, because Roxanne is going to clear up a lot of those misconceptions. All right, please enjoy this episode. Hello, Roxanne Fay.
Hi, Avery.
Thank you so much for coming on today.
Thank you very much for asking.
I'm just so excited to talk to you about so many different things, because I feel like you are one of the most versatile, active, everywhere performer artists we have in our community.
Oh, thank you.
So to get time with you is so exciting.
Thank you.
We're going to talk about a couple things, but the big thing we're talking about today is you are doing a new adaptation of Julius Caesar, William Shakespeare's Julius Caesar, at the studio at 620 this March.
Yes.
Maybe just walk me through, like, where did this idea come from?
I have always been a Shakespeare lover. I've always loved doing Shakespeare, performing, and as I was maturing as an actor and as a human, getting older, I really was looking at the roles that I wanted to play, the words that I wanted to say, all seemed to be coming out of the mouths of the male characters. So I have often played male characters. David Jenkins has been kind enough to let me cross over and do a lot of really, great male roles, traditionally male roles that I have really relished. I've always wanted to do Julius Caesar. I just think it's a fascinating piece. The history behind it, of course, the historical fact behind it is so convoluted. And I think there's a tendency for people to think, oh, you're doing Julius Caesar, you're making a political statement. I'm really not. I'm making a personal statement, not necessarily for myself, but just to see that there are different people in the world and they operate differently, and things that are important to them are different. And how hard we hold on to what we believe in, sometimes past the point of when we should. Do we not bend? Do we not compromise? Do we not think, maybe I could do it a different way? So Brutus for me was always fascinating because historically he is regarded as one of the Stoics. He's a Stoic. And his devotion to Rome and his devotion to doing what is right is so strong that I think it leads him astray because he doesn't see the other side of the coin. He doesn't see what's going on around him quite as clearly as he could, because he thinks the right thing is therefore going to prevail. And he is wrong. For himself, anyway.
Yeah. So you are taking this story and you are adapting it for an all-female cast. So what is that process like? Like, how do you even start to approach that work? What are you thinking about as you work on this script?
I didn't change anything. I didn't change any pronouns. I didn't change any sensibility about sexuality or gender or anything. They are playing these characters.
Okay.
Our Julius Caesar will be playing Julius Caesar. And I wanted to adapt it for women. I saw a production of Julius Caesar by an all-female cast. That was, I had to stream it, but it was the Donmar Warehouse in UK, and it was so powerful and was not at all diminished, changed, altered in its method, its message, by the fact that it was visually women. But when I was adapting and looking at it, One of the things that has always kind of irked me when I when I see gender swapped roles is, say you have one swapped role and that person is actually playing another gender, and then you have someone who's sort of dressed as the other gender, and it gets confusing, and you're like, are you? I don't. So there are two women in the actual show. There are two women in Shakespeare's Julius Caesar, Portia, who is Brutus's wife, and Calpurnia, who is Caesar's wife. And the more I thought about it and looked at their characters and what they had to say and how they were listened to or not listened to by the men in the room, I decided to cut them both. Because their voices, therefore, are still utilized. Their lines are still utilized, but their voices become this peripheral thing that is then dismissed. And I thought, for me, that it was actually something that I wanted to say. So that was sort of the Roxanne messagey thing that got into the show. And when we had callbacks for the show, I was so excited because the room was filled with some of the most amazing energy and just really great actors. And it was such a wonderful process. So I honestly don't know the final cast list. I don't know. I know offers have gone out, but I don't know, how it's going to fall out. I don't know yet. So I'm really excited to find out who's going to be in the room.
Well, and I want to ask about this because you mentioned that you've got to play several Shakespeare characters that are traditionally men. But what is it like to be able to say, this is an entire cast of women, and to open that door for so many other women who, like you, have probably also had that feeling of, I would love to dive into this world, to sink my teeth into it, but have traditionally not been offered it. So to be able to say, all right, here's an entire cast where we get to play around, what does that mean? What was that feeling like?
Well, I hope that it will encourage women to say, hey, wait a minute. Yeah, I want to do that.
Yeah.
I want to do that role. And know that it's not taboo. It can be done. There are certain things you cannot do. I will never live long enough to play in Waiting for Godot because of the statutes on the estate, and I think it's 2035 before it goes into public domain. It's like, well, I don't know if anybody wants to see Vladimir that old. There are some limitations. There are some people who are going to tell you no. But by and large, I think now, especially as the art is becoming and theater is becoming more and more vital, our voices, just in general, are becoming so much more important and necessary. That women will start to speak up and say, hey, I want to do this thing. Same with the traditionally female role. I don't see why not. To say, yes, I really want to play Lady Macbeth. I want to play that role. I want to say those words. That's always what it comes down to with me. I want to say those words. And that's usually why I fall in love with a character. And I fell in love with Brutus that way.
And it's like, why does your gender have to limit you from the roles you can play on the stage, right? That is what good acting is you can encompass and embody any different role.
And we all encompass those.
Yeah.
We all encompass those beings within ourselves.
Yes.
We all have those parts of ourselves. It's nature. It's completely natural for us to see the world from different points of view in our heads. And some of those points of view have to do, I don't know if you want to call it gender, but with that, sensibility and that consciousness.
Well, and Shakespeare has been adapted so many different times in so many different ways. I mean, we've had Romeo and Juliet, and I'm like, if a gnome can play these roles, why can't a woman take on the role?
Doggone gnome.
Okay, so talk to me a little bit about this. Is being produced at the studio at 620. Erica Sutherland is directing it. So how did that connection come to be? Did you bring this idea to Erica? Did you just walk me through that?
Well, I have been working with 620 with Bob Devin Jones for many years, and was an artistic associate there as well for a long time. And things evolve, and you kind of end up other places. And then I knew Erica, and when she took the helm there, we just got together to say, "Hey, let's talk." Mm-hmm. And she asked me. She said, "What's in your head? What's on your heart? What do you want to do?" And I told her what I wanted to do, and she said, "Okay." And then she said, "Can you do it for 7 actors?" And I went, "Oh, no, I can do it for 8." And but we compromised. And actually, now I believe we have 9. We actually have 9 people on stage, which is great. It's like a wealth for me to have that extra person. It's great. Yeah.
I mean, that's the most Erica story, right? Because Erica will always show up to support folks, and so just offering you, what do you want to work on? I love Erica's, like, if she believes in you and you share those values, she will always try to support you. And so I love that that's how.
And I knew she had a real grasp and appreciation and love for Shakespeare as well.
Yeah.
So when she said she would direct it, I was thrilled. I was really pleased with that.
Okay, I want to talk about, I always talk about this when we do Shakespeare shows. There are a lot of people that just do not understand Shakespeare. It is old English. It is, what am I watching? There's a lot of fear for some folks that come along with Shakespeare. And so maybe just talk to me a little bit about, like, as you work on this show, how are you approaching that? What would you tell to someone that's like, I don't know if this is for me,
Well, it is, a lot of the burden is on the company to understand, because you are in a way translating a foreign language. So it's really on us to provide the clarity of what are you saying to me, and understanding what we are talking about. But with Julius Caesar, it's very much a moment in time. It's this thing happens, and then it leads to this chain reaction. It's very action movie-esque, in its structure, and there is a lot. There's a lot to really enjoy in it. There, for people who like it, there's a lot of battle. there's some good humor here and there, and just the story of someone who loses, someone who is hungry for power and justifies it, so isn't really aware, that you are becoming a dictator. You are becoming this empirical thing. Believes he deserves it. Believes, what he has done and his getting to where he is only come from killing the man who was in charge before him. And also for Brutus, not seeing beyond what he believes and what he has justified in his mind, or Cassius, or any of the conspirators who all believe that they're doing the right thing and don't really listen to anybody else. Yeah. They are not easily swayed or detracted. It's fun to watch, I think, because a lot of people, we've all heard the name Julius Caesar. We've all heard that. But who was Julius Caesar? Who really was Julius Caesar? How did he become the emperor of Rome? He was the first emperor of Rome. How did he become that? And unfortunately, in Shakespeare's time, you read, every time I'm reading and doing dramaturgical stuff, they say, the people of Shakespeare's day would have known this. I'm like, really?
Would they have?
Would they? The history of who Caesar defeated a man named Pompey, who Pompey was, what the triumvirate was, what all these things were. So he doesn't tell us that. He just opens the show with, "Hey, I've triumphed over Pompey and I'm coming home." And we all, oh,
okay.
What? So there will be some dramaturgical notes just to kind of go, here's why we're here at this moment in time. But it's very compact. Caesar itself as a show doesn't feel compact when you're reading it. Especially if you're a student, oh my God, it's never going to end. But it actually is very much like, well, Macbeth is actually the shortest play in the canon, and it is absolutely action consequence. Julius Caesar is an action consequence as well. It just takes longer to unfold because there are more conspirators involved than just, two, and more opinions and more motivations. So, but this adaptation clips pretty fast. At one point, Erica went, pretty short. Oh, you want me to add some stuff? I can add some stuff. So I went back and fleshed in some things, and I wanted it to round out and go, oh, okay, that makes sense now. I get more information. I gave myself the luxury of adding, exposition, because we needed it. Yeah.
What do you really hope people maybe prepare or come with in mind as they come to the show? Like, if there's one thing you could be like, oh, as you walk into the theater, if you could already be thinking about this, what would that be?
Throw the idea that, oh my God, I'm going to a Shakespeare play out the window. Think about, did you see Gladiator? Did you see Spartacus? Did you see Ben-Hur? Did you see those big Roman epics? It's like that in our minds. That's where we're coming in to the room. That's and then staging, of course, what we can physically do. But it's more of a thoughtful entertainment than it is a lesson that might be amusing.
This is not a college course. This is not a
there will be no quiz
exercise
at the end.
Oh my goodness!
But I hope that people will be interested to go, well, how did we get there? How did he get there? Who was Pompey? How did this all fall out? Because the man that Caesar defeated, Pompey, was his close ally. The triumvirate was an allegiance. And Pompey and Caesar were two of the three people. And Pompey actually was married to Caesar's daughter to cement that alliance, which you also see in a lot of Shakespeare's plays where, Henry married the Princess of France and all that to cement things together. So everybody's connected. It's all historical and, for the most part, is factual. And you can go back and look at those facts and go, oh, okay, well, this guy was a bad dude, or this guy was a good guy. Brutus is more or less fictional, but he has great lines, and people will know a lot. They may not know where they've heard it before, but they'll know "Beware the Ides of March." They'll know that Caesar's last words are "Et tu, Brute," and "You too, Brutus." So they've heard. In our culture, we've adopted a lot of these isms from these tropes from Caesar.
And there's so much Shakespeare in our everyday lives that we don't even know is Shakespeare.
Words that were made up, and he was real good at that. He liked making up words.
To the point that we are still uttering them today.
Yes, we are.
I want to ask you about, because you are such a Shakespeare person and have done Shakespeare for so long. In Tampa Bay, we are very blessed to get a lot of professional Shakespeare, right? Between job site and the studio when they do it. Like, there are some regions out there and some communities that no longer do professional Shakespeare. That is something that theaters have got away from in some way. So I would just love to know, like, what is it like getting to do professional Shakespeare in Tampa Bay on a regular basis? And what does that mean for audiences to still have that offered to them?
It's wonderful. Job site has always had an outreach program. We have always performed for student audiences as well as our nighttime audiences. And that's so important. It's so important to tell kids, you can get this, you can enjoy this, you can dig this stuff, and go on and maybe read more of it, watch more of it, be in some of it, we always talk about building the next generation of audience, the next generation of performers, the next generation of Shakespeare lovers. And David is really great about nurturing that. Comedy of Errors opens at Job Site the 16th, this Friday.
Yes.
And it's very exciting. A lot of really great people in it, and some people that are going to be brand new to job site who are mad talented, a couple of whom I have been able to work with in the past. And yeah, getting a chance to do it on both sides of the bay is amazing. And I have been very blessed to be able to do that. And most of my Shakespeare experience has either been here when I lived in Chicago and then in Prague, at the Prague Shakespeare, that was just an amazing experience. Mostly it was training, but it was a summer season of shows in which we all ended up, working. And amazing. It was just amazing to have that many Shakespearean scholars and that many Shakespearean practitioners. And Lisa Volpe, who is amazing artist and has really made a craft of embodying the alchemy of gender. And she actually has a one-person show called Shakespeare and the Alchemy of Gender. Has played some of the most amazing roles, just Shylock and all these great roles. And I was able to work under her and learn from her and talk to her. And a lot of that, I can do this, came from spending time with her.
So, not Shakespeare related.
Okay.
Because you do so many other things as well. Are there other projects or things that you're working on, or are there any things on your bucket list that you're like, oh, I really want to tackle these in the next couple of years that you can preview and tease?
Well, I after Caesar closes, we'll be doing a show called Ripcord at the Off Central Players under Jack Holloway is our director, and just amazing cast. Really looking forward to that. It's very funny show. And I have a friend, I don't know how much I'm allowed to say about this, but a dear friend who is bringing forth a new project, a new play, and I'm going to assist him in workshopping and doing an initial reading of that. I'm doing a lot of work with Power Stories in the coming year. And I am sort of talking to a lot of people about the last 3 gems in my bucket, if you will, and hoping that in 2027, because it's going to have to wait, that those might come to fruition. I hope this will not be my last season, but I have been going up to New York every season for several years. Some very dear friends of mine have a company up there, Bridge Street Theater, and I'm slated to go up there and do some work with them this year in their new season. So that they haven't announced their season yet, so I can't tell you. But it's very exciting because it's a role that's very challenging, and with one of the gentlemen who is the artistic director up there, who I get to work opposite him again, which is going to be great. So
I'm curious, with everything you've done, do you have a bucket list role or play left that you want to share that you're like, one day?
One day.
Or just something maybe even it's like you've always wanted to tackle?
There is one that I'm going to be a stinker and keep in my pocket for now, because I am hoping that it might actually happen, and that would be great. But I was thinking about that, and even looking at Shakespeare, and everything that I love so much about Shakespeare. I'd love to do a production of Coriolanus, just because I think it's a really cool show. But again, that's another, hey, let's go to war kind of show. It's like, we really probably don't need another one of those, hey, let's go to war kind of shows. But I have really been satisfied and lucky that people have trusted me to take on the Shakespearean roles that I've been able to do. And they've been just, I think very satiating in a lot of ways. And it's nice. I feel calm, kind of more at peace with everything, and going, okay, the roles that come are going to be the roles we do, because that's what we're supposed to do. And I'm, a caregiver now, and that entails me making sure that my mother is well taken care of. If I'm not home, someone, is there to help. There's somebody, if she needs anything, that will be attending, So I can't just, hey, I'm going to go to New York, hey, I'm going to go do this thing, hey, I'm going out to wherever. There are arrangements and life situations that need to be dealt with. And that's a real learning experience, a real curve as well. Not something that I think any of us really anticipate when we're young. It's like, oh, okay,
Yeah.
But that's a role that I'm learning how to play. And it is alternately terrifying and amazingly gratifying. I'm getting to know my mom in a very different way. And on her level and where she's at, where she is now. And it's weird and it's hard and sometimes very sad, but it's also joyful. And it has opened up a lot of channels for me to go, here's how maybe Roxanne can be a better person. Here's how maybe Roxanne can learn something and do better.
It's always so interesting how the world is always giving us new lessons to learn and new experiences. And in the arts, we talk so much about, like, how do you create a life around the gig economy and the work style of jumping show to show. But as you progress through life, how do you take those new challenges and moments and opportunities that the world gives you of, now you do need to care for your mother, and how do you still make that work amongst your profession? So it's really interesting. So thank you for sharing that.
Thank you.
As we start to wrap up, I want to tell people that we are partnering with Julius Caesar, the Arts Passport, for our March book club. So one of the things you can do to kind of engage with the show a little bit more is in March we are reading Silence of the Girls by Pat Barker, which is a retelling of the Iliad from the female perspective, from those characters. So you can read that book, and then on March 15th we're going to meet, we're going to discuss it, and then see Julius Caesar as a group.
Oh, that's so amazing.
Yeah.
I love that.
And I know you kind of helped us figure out, like, which book would be a good, right fit for this. So I hope folks can come and join us for that. We're partnering with Tombolo on that, so you can pick up your books there and then meet us. I'd just love to know, as we start to wrap up, like, is there anything else with Julius Caesar that you really hope people take away from it, or, think about as we go into the production?
Just that there's probably a lot more depth, a lot more sides to the story of Julius Caesar than people, we say, oh, Julius Caesar, and we all kind of go, oh, yeah, Julius Caesar.
Oh, yeah, I know.
But
I know.
yeah, but that there's a humanity. We never really, we know what these people did. They were historical. They did this thing. They did that thing. We don't really kind of delve into what we think maybe was going on in their heads. And that's always really interesting to me, that you can come in and touch these people as human beings. Fiction, fictitious human beings, but nevertheless finding what a humanity in history, in fact, which has always fascinated me. All of my writing, all my playwriting, is based in historical figures, and taking some liberty with who I think they were and what they were about and what's going on in their minds and their hearts, but they're all actual historical people.
Yeah.
And I think historical people are so fascinating. We really don't have to make people up, because people are pretty interesting, just as they are.
Yes. Well, and there's so many folks that don't get their stories told or have been looked over, so telling those stories is wonderful.
Right.
All right, we're going to end with some rapid-fire questions that we did not prep you on. First up, we have been asking people in 2026, now that we are almost 2 full months into it, do you have any hopes or dreams or aspirations for the year?
Oh, boy. If I could, I would, if I were, all powerful, I would certainly love to make 2026 a year in which we can all become safe. Who we are, where we're standing. And it's scary. It's really scary. I'd love to be able to find a way, either through art or just being a human being with someone, to alleviate someone's existential dread, because those are the two words that come to my mind so often. It's like, how are you feeling, Roxanne? Existential dread. But I think when we spend time together and we are able to find that hope and that strength, and I hope overcome the darkness.
Thank you for sharing that. That is because I think a lot of people wrestle with that same thing right now. There is so much going on, and it's just the noise is deafening at times. And so safety and finding ways to ground yourself in this year, I think, is a great thing to hope for. Okay, speaking of hope, our second question is, what is your hope for the Tampa Bay arts community?
To continue the kind of ardent support that the community has for our arts, the way that people have stepped forward in the face of wonderful institutions, Creative Pinellas, who have been so good to me in the past, just being stripped of people being told that the arts aren't important. And people are saying, well, they're important to me. I don't even think you have to stand up and scream and yell and jump up and down and go, the arts are important by God. You can say the arts are important to me, and I'm going to support them. I'm going to behave in this way. I'm going to be involved in this way. That has given me a lot of hope. And I hope that really I will be able to help other artists find expression, find venue, find resource, find something. I would like to be able to do that. And I've started working with some playwrights who have pieces, and I'm like, well, let's find out where this belongs for you.
Yeah.
Let's find out where this voice goes. And really enjoying spending time with them and their work, and learning that I don't know everything.
Right.
I'm certainly not the be all end all of art. So there's always something to be learning.
There's always something. We're all constantly learning. And I think, going off what you said, of supporting the arts does not need to be standing up and screaming and yelling. It can be going to Julius Caesar. It can be attending in a museum. It can be going to the more that we can show up at our artistic organization, supporting individual artists, that shows to this whole community there is a need for it. There is a support for it.
Yes.
And I think that's a beautiful thing to fight for. Well, thank you so much for coming on our podcast.
Thank you.
Everyone, please go check out Julius Caesar running kind of mid-March to end of March at the studio at 620 in downtown St. Petersburg, and continue to follow Roxanne Fay for all of your upcoming amazing projects.
Oh, I hope so. Thank you, Avery.
All right. Thank you so much for listening to this episode of the Arts Passport podcast. I do hope that you come out and experience Julius Caesar. I hope that you maybe call your high school English teacher and apologize to them for thinking that Shakespeare was dumb or scary or silly. Or if you had a secret crush on your high school English teacher, I also hope you confess that to them, because love is love and should be rewarded in that way. Please continue to like, follow, subscribe all of our content. Please join us for our book club that we mentioned with Julius Caesar and Reading the Silence of the Girls by Pat Barker. And we hope to see you out there. All right. Thanks so much.